She's fierce, she's loving, she's a boss, she's giving sisterhood, support, and service. Mocha Mom. She's fierce, she's loving, she's a boss, she's giving sisterhood, support, and service. Mocha Moms. She is, yeah. She is Mocha Moms. She is, she is Mocha Moms.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Mochas. Thank you so much for joining us for our very first We Are Not Okay national call. We Are Not Okay is our Mocha Moms Inc. 2026 national campaign to tackle those very real issues that are actively harming Black women and our families. Everything from health concerns, including and especially maternal and infant mortality, voting rights, banned books, and the disparate educational outcomes for our kids, and specific for tonight, the more than 300,000 Black women who have been forced out of the workforce since January. You'll hear more about our We Are Not Okay campaign throughout tonight and in future communication with our members moving forward. But before we get too far into the show, into the discussion tonight, let me introduce you to our national board. We have, of course, Quay Kelch, who is our national president, Shelley English Figaro, who is our esteemed co-founder, one of our esteemed co-founders, and our president emerita. We have LaShawn Martin, who is in the background running the tech for us, but she is our Vice President of Operations. Kim Scott is our National Treasurer. Shalon Newton is with us, and she's our National Director of Corporate Sponsorships and Partnerships. Cassandra Johnson is our National Director of Community Service and Engagement. And I, Danella Eicher, I am your National Director of Advocacy and Public Policy. So right now, though, our president, Quay, has a few words for us. Quay, do you want to join us?
Hi, Danella. How are you? Good evening,
Great.
Mochas. It's such a pleasure to have you with us tonight. This is a very, very important topic, and we're thrilled that so many of you have joined us. This is a conversation that stemmed from a big conversation that we had on the national board recently at our strategic planning meeting. Amongst many things that we had to discuss, what was coming up in 2026 for Mochas, a recurring theme was the state of Black women and mothers in particular. We talked about the 300,000 plus mothers and women in general, Black women who had been forced out of the workforce. We talked about the end of the Department of Ed. We talked about so many things. And at the end of discussing all of these things, we decided we had to address this directly. This is going to be an ongoing conversation. We're going to be talking about it tonight, about something specific tonight, but we'll be talking about this all of 2026 and beyond. At the end of our conversation, I said to our board, ladies, we are not okay, but we should be. And that was what the beginning of all of this. So we hope that you will get something out of this meaningful. We hope you will participate and be active. We look forward to ongoing discussions about a variety of different things throughout the year. And once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Quay. And again, thank you, moms all across the country for joining us. This is our effort to let you know that we see you, we hear you, we love you. The moment we are in is like a 5-alarm fire. It's a real crisis for our community. Recently, the New York Times posted a short, and we're going to play it for you right now to put all of this into context. But before we do that, we do want to remind everyone that Mocha Moms Inc. is a nonpartisan organization. We do not endorse political candidates or a particular political party, but our very existence in this country is political. And to the extent that our identities as Black women sit with so many disparities in all the metrics based on specific policies and practices and procedures, the issues we're concerned about are necessarily political issues. They are nonpartisan, but they are indeed political. And so, for the purposes of this conversation tonight, it just happens that the practices and policies of this current administration, it's those policies and practices that have forced more than 300,000 thousands of us out of work. So we want to play this for you very quickly and then get to introducing the panel.
Over the course of the past 5 months, more than 300,000 Black women left the labor force, while the number of jobs for many other demographic groups have gone up. Experts and economists say that it is in part due to President Trump's efforts to shrink the federal government. I've been in touch with more than a dozen Black women who have been fired or dismissed or placed on administrative leave. They have described getting an email in their inbox telling them that they were involved in diversity and inclusion training, even when it had nothing to do with their jobs. They felt targeted for their race or their perceived political beliefs. Since President Trump took office, more than 80,000 federal government jobs have been cut. Black workers are disproportionately represented in the federal government, and particularly Black women. The federal government has long been a path to the middle class for Black Americans. After Jim Crow, it was one of the only places that Black people could get white-collar jobs. For Black women in particular, the federal government was a place where they face less discrimination than in the private sector. There are agencies where Black women make up almost a quarter of the workforce. Some of these agencies we're seeing the government target for the biggest cuts. The White House has defended the cuts as an indiscriminate effort by President Trump to shrink the government and restore merit into the workforce. Recently, the Supreme Court ruled that he did, in fact, have the authority to continue to carry those out. Experts have warned that the federal workforce cuts are also rippling throughout the private sector. It is serving as a model for what kind of hiring practices are acceptable. President Trump has been very clear that he does want the workforce of the whole country to emulate what he's doing in the federal government.
So, moms, what it sounds like is this is not the end of a thing for us, not the end of a crisis, quite possibly the beginning. And we are going to do what we do, and that is solve the problems in front of us. So, and that is the goal of our wonderful panel tonight. So let me go ahead and introduce them. First, we have Dr. Argie Allen Wilson. She's someone you may have seen on the Today Show, Mel Robbins Show, the Tamron Hall Show, MSNBC, CNN, Radio One, all the shows, right? You have also seen her here with us, Mocha Moms, as part of our Parent Nation events. She has over 30 years of experience, numerous political appointments and roles, and perhaps most important, Dr. Argie has a calling for our mental health and a deep desire to rebuild, re-strengthen, and renew our relationships with each other, with those close to us, with our families and friends. And that's going to be a very important part of our conversation tonight. She also has a new book out called Courageous Conversations Connect. It's a pathway to reset your mindset with intentional thoughts from the inside out. Dr. Argie, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's going to be an exciting conversation, Sora.
I'm looking forward to it, Soror, for all that pink and green we see on the other screens coming up. Chantay Sanders, speaking of pink and green, is a double certified life, divorce, and business coach who specializes in transforming us from uncertainty to opportunity, the messy middle of career and life. That's all the transitions through strategic reinvention. With over 20 years of experience, Chantay empowers women of faith to divorce or let go of what no longer works for them. That's for us, y'all. And to rebuild with clarity, creative strategy, and joy. In her practice, she guides women in reclaiming their identity, discovering hidden talents, which we need in this moment, and turning creative passions into side hustles, as well as building multiple streams of income. Can we say amen to the multiple streams of income? Chantay, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And Danella Williams, Danella like vanilla. I love her name. She is a career transition consultant who provides comprehensive guidance and support to help individuals navigate and excel in their professional journeys. Her work focuses on coaching, strategizing, and implementing techniques that enhance career growth and employability. With deep expertise in career transition, she specializes in resume strategy, LinkedIn optimization, and interview preparation. I cannot wait to get to this conversation. Thank you so much, Danella, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, actually turn first to Dr. Argie. I imagine in this moment, moments of high stress, that is, our closest relationships can take a hit, particularly with the stress of something like losing work, not to mention the stress of all that's going on around us. We're being inundated with, it feels like crises after crises after crises. What would you tell us to watch out for first and foremost in this moment?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Danae, for the question, and thank you, Mocha Mamas, for having me, and for thinking about your own mental health and wellness. What I say is that we cannot have mind, body, and spirit is all connected. So we cannot have our physical wellness, and our financial wellness and our spiritual wellness if we don't have our mental health and wellness, if you will. And with all that's going on in the world, we got to level up. Let me tell you what I'm seeing in the practice, because I'm here in my downtown office, but I also have an office in Philadelphia, in the Chestnut Hill section of Philadelphia. And usually my clinical days stem from about 10 in the morning until 6 or 7 at night. And I'm seeing clients round the clock. I see a lot of women who the bottom has fallen out from under them and they didn't see it coming. And in addition to that, we as specifically Black women carry a lot of weight. We carry a lot of baggage. This has been from the beginning of time. We've taken on a lot of the challenges within our community, and we get it done. And we felt very prideful about that. But what I have seen a little bit different since the election of last year, around November 5th, is we began to realize that people didn't care about us in the ways that we thought they cared about us. And we began to say, okay, well, what does a soft life look like? You know, many of us didn't know what that looked like. And we began to think about also, what does it look like to take better care of ourselves? Because we got it on fleek. We know how to take care of everybody else. What we don't know how to do necessarily is take care of ourselves. And even with the book that is the second edition, the first chapter of Courageous Conversations Connect is called Radical Self-Care in Action. And it's called Radical Self-Care in Action because I wanted people, if you never went to a therapist, which I strongly recommend that everybody get a good therapist, but if you never went to a therapist, this book will literally help you to start with having a courageous conversation with yourself. Because the truth is, unfortunately, we kind of lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves we're okay when we're not okay. So I love, love, love this title, We Are Not Okay. Because for the first time, Mocha moms are giving themselves permission to not be okay and giving ourselves permission to ask for help, which is absolutely and unequivocally okay for us to do something different. Because quite frankly, what we have been doing, giving all things to all people at all times and not taking care of ourselves, that is not necessarily working for us. So we got to do something different. And the something different, especially when it comes to moms, because it's the hardest job on the planet. Not that dads' jobs aren't hard, they're hard too. But moms, we know you're working, you're losing your jobs, you're dealing with the stressors of the family, you're sandwiched between your parents and your children. And so all of those stressors require that we then elevate. And here's the reverse engineering. It's to figure out, how do you prioritize you? How do you engage in radical self-care in action so that you then feed yourself? Because what you feed lives and what you starve dies. And if you start putting your oxygen mask on first, right? That's what you do when you fly. Then you can have the residual to help someone else, and you can give from your overflow versus your deficit. So this is kind of what I'm seeing now. And I do think that there's a lot of depression. There is a lot of anxiety, understandably so, but there's also a lot of hope, because hope comes out of crises. We can then, just like the pandemic, we figured out that we could do more with less. This is now a pivotal crossroads moment where we can figure out, how is it that we have to take better care of ourselves in order to not just go through this time of challenge and difficulty, but to grow through it and to get to the other side. So I'm gonna pause right there. I don't want to take up all the time, but I'll have some maybe tips for people, as we continue with the conversation.
Great. Thank you so much. Such words of wisdom. Chantay and Danella, what you just opening up, what is it that you all would have to say? I'm looking at you, Danella, to our moms in this moment upon hearing, because some may have even realized that it's more than 300,000. I can't even get over that number. Black women out of work right now, like
Yeah,
all at
that's
once, it feels like.
yeah, that's a lot. So I put something together based on the topic. We are not okay. We are acknowledging the truth that many of us live through layoffs, reorgs, or unexpected pauses, or we voluntarily stepped away from our career, or maybe even we have a pulling towards something else and we don't know what that something else is. But we're not going to just focus on the hard parts. It's about preparing for this next chapter. We're here for something more, which are tactics, tactics that help us move forward with both confidence and strategy. I've supported hundreds of professionals through career transitions, and there's one thing I've learned after meeting with so many individuals. Transitions are not setbacks. They're an invitation. They're an invitation to rethink direction, to rediscover your voice, to rebuild, not from scratch, but from your current experience. When you lost your job, you didn't lose your value. So the focus here tonight is simple: to just equip you all with clear, actionable tactics for transition, how to reposition your experience, how to stay relevant in a shifting market, and how to create opportunities, even when the tasks seem unreachable or unclear in such a tough market. You may not feel okay right now, and that is okay. But you're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not alone. This season is not the end, it's your invitation to what comes next.
Wow. And I want you to know that your transitions are not setback comment. It's getting all of the applause right now. And we are
Yes.
not broken.
Yeah, we're
Ladies,
not. It's an
not
invitation for
broken.
us to dig a little deeper and figure out what that next thing is. And that is where Chantay helps those individuals when they're in that unclear space.
Yes, I like to
Chantay, I
think
think
that
she just threw it to you.
yeah, I like to say that we work well together, because what Danella's going to do is, when you know what you want to do, She's going to be able to help you optimize your resume and get your LinkedIn set up properly, and make sure that you're set up for success when you apply for these jobs. But what do you do when you're not sure? We're in a place of uncertainty, and I know it's easy for us to get on this call and yes, we say we're not okay, but we will be. We've been through this before. This is not anything new. The issues that we deal with systematically, that's what they are. So you're not new to this, and they are true to this. That whole system is true what it is. It is what it is. And as Black women in America, as Black women, period, we've shown time and time again our resilience, our ability to bounce forward, our ability to move through things. What you may be running into now is maybe you lost a job that was perfect for you. Maybe you're in a situation, a life change that was the ideal scenario for you, and that's great. And you want to go back and you want to continue on and do that same thing. So then you know that you can go directly to Danella, and she'll say, okay, well, let's get your resume together and move forward. But what do you do when it doesn't quite fit? Like it's not really your thing anymore. So I was thinking earlier today, and I was kind of chuckling to myself just because I'm in this situation. But you know how, like, and I haven't just had a baby, but I'm just saying in general, you know how when you have a baby and you have this perfect outfit before that it made you look like the chef's kiss, right? So after you have these babies, you come back, you may be at the same weight and you're trying to get into that outfit, but it doesn't look right. It's not fitting the same, right? So it's no longer fitting the way you want it to. Maybe it has elastic, and you're thinking, okay, this elastic will work with me. Well, is it the outfit or is it you? Is it just because it stretches doesn't mean it has to, right? So it could just be maybe that job or that career or that situation no longer fits you. And so when I talk about, I'm a divorce doula and a creative living strategist as well. So when I talk about divorcing, I'm talking about, it doesn't have to be the actual act of just going from married to single. It could be going from being a full-time stay-at-home mom to an empty nester. It could be changing careers. It could be maybe you got laid off, maybe you left your job, maybe, you've retired and you're looking for what's next. All of those things are periods of transition where you're kind of like, you're at an ending, and then you're you have a beginning going on here, but you're really kind of in the messy middle because you can't go back to where you were, but you can't kind of go forward to the next thing just yet. But I want to challenge you to say that actually you can start dipping your toes into the next thing. Actually, you can, start thinking about, what is it about what I'm doing right now that fits, what no longer fits, and what do I want it to look like? You can start creating your life to look like how you want to be now. Because sometimes you made decisions in your 20s that as you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, it doesn't fit. Maybe you majored in something that is like, I was thinking earlier because I have a teenager who just entered college, and it's kind of like, golly, people ask you questions your whole life, a good portion of your life, all through elementary school, junior high, high school, you get into college. What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? And then and so we're faced with that question constantly. We're always looking for that answer. We're always thinking about it. Well, I want to be, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a business owner. I want to be this, whatever. And so it changes as you change, as you grow up. But then when you get out of college and you have that degree, people expect you to stay in that zone. And maybe that no longer fits you anymore. Maybe you knew then, but maybe you know for sure now. So what does that mean? Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I reclaim, how do I put a stake in the ground and say, this is who I am right now, that isn't weighed down by what other people expect, that isn't weighed down by external validation, that isn't weighed down by me trying to be a superwoman, that isn't weighed down by, the pressure to sustain, a certain level of income. How do I do that? And so that's where I come in.
Well, then, thank you. And let's get right into it because we have some pre-submitted questions. And I am saying this not just to the panelists, but to all of us out there in Mocha Land. Some pre-submitted questions are pretty broad, and some were specific for Mocha moms ourselves to answer. We will try to get through some of those as well. And some were specific to you all and the ways that you can help. I do want to say openly here, even the questions that were for us, Mocha moms in particular, I think, having read about you all, talked to you all a little bit, I think that you all also can have some wonderful insight into those questions as well. But one Mocha asked in particular, looking for, she says, I'm a mother and small business owner who recently relocated to rebuild stability for my family and community. From your perspectives, what are the most important things women like me should focus on now to position ourselves for economic growth and balance going into 2026? So I imagine not just this mom, but this is a question for a mom who has indeed lost a job. And as you all say, are looking for a way to make that an invitation and not a setback. And any one of you can answer. The question is, what should we focus on now to position ourselves for economic growth and balance in 2026?
Well,
Okay,
I'll
you
start us
said-
off, guys. Oh,
Go ahead, Chantay.
Yeah, I'll jump in at once.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I will start off by saying, kudos to you for having the courage to step out on faith and to, create your own business. With you being a mother, I want to encourage you to build your business around your life. We're taught the opposite. We're taught to build our life around our work, but I want to encourage you. It will be more fulfilling for you that way. The time that you do have allocated to that will be more focused. It will be more rewarding for you. And the effort that you put into it will pay you back in spades. So I just highly encourage you to build your business around your life.
Would you say that also for a mom who is suddenly out of work and is looking for the next thing?
Yeah, if she knows what she's looking for, then I would turn her over to Danella. If she's not sure, then I would say this is a wonderful time to take the time to really explore what it is that you want, what you bring, what skills and talents you bring to the table, because you were born with your worth. You were born with your purpose. It's not something you have to go look for, but sometimes we just need to be reminded. Sometimes we need to see it in front of us. Oh, these are all the things I can do. These are the things that can bring value, and these are the things that I can put forth in the marketplace. And how do I package that up? But if you don't know who you are, and you don't know what you're capable of, and you don't know what you can bring to the table, like if you don't have that self-knowledge, then you don't know what product you're marketing. And so you're going to be spinning your wheels and wondering, well, why isn't anything happening? I'm applying for 1,000 jobs. I only got 2 interviews, and one of them, they cut me out the first round. Well, it could possibly be because you're not sure of what it is that you're doing. And so when you get in there, I mean, y'all know how it is. When somebody knows exactly who they are, and when they know exactly what they want, they move in a way that's very different from someone who's unsure. They have this confidence about them where they're like, no, you want to hire me. Let me see if I want to work for you, versus, oh, please hire me. Oh, please, please. And so people can smell desperation. They can smell if the level of I guess they can feel that energy. And so when you walk in and you know who you are, you know what you want, you know what you're looking for, and you have the stance of this will work for me or it won't. I'm not minimizing that there may be a situation where, you're like like I said before, the price of meat is going up and maybe your savings is going down. But I think it would behoove you and it would be beneficial to you to take that time and do that inventory and really get a clear picture of what it is you want moving forward.
Okay.
And what we can do.
And what you can do.
Yeah. Thank you, Danella.
So going off of what Chantay said, if going back to work, but then I'll switch back to her being a small business owner. So with confidence, we also need to be able to articulate our value, right? So that elevator pitch or that positioning statement, you need to be able to communicate what it is you do, what it is you would bring to the table in that organization. To be able to do something, interviews has always been a stickler for me, because they want to know what you can do by not giving you the opportunity to do it. And most women, we tend to struggle when it comes to being able to communicate the value we bring. However, if you put something before us, you don't have to give us many instructions and we can make it happen, right? Because we're built that way. We have to overcome our own insecurities, right? And know that these interview processes they're just there to see how you really act or can perform under pressure, because you should have a level of nervousness, but not to the point to where it makes you not be able to communicate that value. So you need to know exactly what it is you want to do. You need to be able to articulate that, and prepare, right? So when you're in front of these individuals, you are more confident. It helps you become more confident. Once you get past that, tell me about yourself, and maybe one or two questions, there should be a level of relaxation that comes across you, because now you can sit in what you know you can actually do. But going back to the question, it was a mother and she was a small business owner and she relocated. One of the things she needs to do is get plugged into that community, right? The more people you're engaging with, the more people you can communicate what it is you do and you offer. So she needs to get plugged into that community, and be ready. Again, there's that elevator pitch again. You need to be able to communicate what it is you are offering, and what's that differentiator, right? Because you might be selling something that your neighbor's selling or the next person, or you have to have your own unique value proposition and be able to differentiate or speak to why they should choose you versus the next person.
Great, thank you. Dr. Argie, how do you respond to that question about positioning for economic growth and balance in 2026?
Yeah, so I love the question. Thank you for that question, and kudos to you for taking the risks. Oftentimes, we're taught not to take risks. We're taught to play it safe. We don't feel like we have the leverage. Oftentimes, we're not necessarily in places and spaces where people are supporting us, in particular as Black women. And so I would say, I'm going to go a little bit different and be pretty transparent, because a lot of times we as Black women don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable or transparent. So my husband and I own 3 businesses. And I can tell you, I was an academician. I worked at Drexel University for many, many years, over 20 years. And it was good to me until it wasn't. And I can remember saying, like, okay, my mother said, don't leave a job until you have another one, right? That's what she told me. And yet at the same time, I had this burning desire to become an entrepreneur. And they actually were entrepreneurs before they went into the workforce and got jobs. And so I decided, as opposed to what my heart was pulling me to do, I would just go look for another job. And time, the door was closed. And I literally can remember crying in my office downtown. There was literally a friend's school. So I heard the children playing on the rooftop, which gave me hope, because children playing gives you hope. While simultaneously, I kept saying, like, God, why is this happening to me? Like, all I want to do is get out of here and get another job and play it safe. And the doors were closed because what the Spirit was saying was, I have more for you. And so I literally heard an audible voice. It's probably the only time that it has happened, where God said to me, this is not happening to you, this is happening for you. Because as long as I was comfortable, I was going to stay there. But it's sometimes the discomfort that allows you to move, because we tend to do 2 things. We're motivated by 2 things: ease and fear or pain. And at that time, I was fearful and I had some pain. So I got a strategic planner, I got a coach, because I knew that I could do the work. I already had a practice. I just kept it small because that was safe. And I didn't want to take the risk because I was a single woman and I didn't know whether I could handle it. And because God said, listen, I'm not doing this, is not happening to you, it's happening for you. I took that leap and I bet on myself and I never looked back. And my husband and I now own 3 businesses, several brands, have a podcast by the Ask Dr. Argie podcast, have the second edition of the book, have, spoken all over the world. And it is simply because someone else said it, one of my other esteemed colleagues said, you got to believe in yourself. And the universe will line up with that. And so to position yourself with balance, I do want to say something about balance, especially as a small business owner. Balance can be elusive. It can feel like there is no balance. And what I'm encouraging people to do, which I have to do myself, is take those micro respite moments every single day. Do the things that you can do to create some semblance of balance. That's breathing, deep box breathing, getting out. Don't eat your lunch at your desk. Go out and take a walk. Do your mindfulness and meditation. I have 5 M's that I tell people to bookend their days with. Every single morning, 5 o'clock, or whatever time you get up, 5 or 10 minutes, and every evening. Mindfulness, meditation, meaningful engagement, movement, and music. That's your balance. Your mindfulness says you're present, you're here. You're not focusing on what happened the day before or what's going to happen. You're here in your body now. Meditation is your intention. Meaningful engagement is your boo, your crew, your mocha moms, whoever can sew into you, who you sew into. That's your meaningful engagement. And then movement, move that body, get that flow going. And music is universal. If you can do that, then whatever happens throughout the day, you've now bookended your day with a way to ground yourself and create your own balance, even in the midst of uncertainty. But it's going to be hard. And to whom much is given, much is required. So that's why these organizations like Mocha Moms is so important, because we need to lock arms. We need to lift each other up. We need to lift as we climb and support each other with dream lifters and not dream squashers, because none of us can do this alone. So that would be my suggestion for this young lady who has moved. And my colleague said, find your people, find the relationships, because people do business with people. So if you build relationships, because we're all a brand and you believe in your product, someone will buy it, because we're all buying something, right? Or we're either buying or we're selling, right? I sell therapy and mental health and wellness. And I believe that that is important to all of us. And because I believe in it, then I live it every day and I model it and I speak life into it, and it's come back twofold. So I'll stop there.
So y'all, we have all the appreciations coming in and all the questions. So I'm going to start combining some of the pre-submitted questions that are themed along with some of the ones that are coming in live. So one of the pre-submitted questions was about AI, specifically bringing in someone to talk to us about AI. But we have experts right here. I'm looking at you, Madam Danella, because I think of AI as just one other tool like LinkedIn and all of the other things. And so specific to how do we optimize these tools, LinkedIn, AI, social media, to get us to that next point? What are some quick tips you would give us, Danella, to do that? I know I've asked you a hard thing to say quick, but
I can be quick. So yes, AI, I talk to my clients all the time and recommend that they definitely utilize AI as they're navigating their job search. It is an AI bot that is pre-screening you before your resume even makes it to a human. So you have to be able to utilize those tools for them to work for you so you can get past those applicant tracking systems. So yes, optimizing your resume, your LinkedIn, any of your social platforms and footprints, you should really be using AI, if not just to optimize your resume, but also to proofread. We are so busy and we see things that's not on paper when we're writing them because we are the ones that's doing the writing. I'm sure Dr. Argie does not edit her own books that she's publishing. She has editors for a reason because we know what things are supposed to say. So we read those things that's not there. So you can definitely use it to proof, but for sure, for optimization of that resume, what you need to do is insert that job posting into one of those AI bots, be it the Chat GPT, the Perplexity, the Copilots, whichever one is your friend. Chantay likes Claude. I have not used Claude. She swears by it. I like Chat GPT. The key though is the way you prompt it. And know that the more you use AI, the more it will start to realize the types of responses you're looking for. So you won't have to continue to prompt it if you become um, proficient or if you consistently use the tool. But one thing you need to caution yourself, because a lot of people like to insert their entire resume and have it spit out a resume for them. I never recommend that, but most consultants do. If you do that, though, remember you have personal identifiable information on that document. You always want to redact that because anything you put into that bot is searchable for someone that's doing a search. So your resume has your address on it. Most people's, I don't recommend addresses. I just recommend the city, state, and zip code. They have your email addresses. They have your full name. So that is the first way that people can find you and try to do fraud or anything on that behalf. But anyways, to optimize your resume, insert that job posting into that chatbot and ask it, what key skills I need to have in my resume to make it past the ATS or to make it to the recruiter on the other side of the process. That bot is going to give you a list of those skills, and I tell my candidates to go ahead and wordsmith your resume from that list. If you let those bots create the resume for you, the formatting will not all be readable. So you might have a perfect match from this AI bot, but then your resume is not readable wholeheartedly by that ATS on the other side. So wordsmith your own resume. And from there, you should be one step ahead of your competition. However, whatever you get, remember to keep your voice, right? Because now companies are being able, their machines or their ATS can let them know if the AI bot wrote your resume. So you still need to not lose who you are as you're leveraging AI, but it's all about the different prompts in which you're using it for. You can use AI for interview prep. You can take that same job posting, insert it, and say, I am interviewing with the hiring manager. Can you give me a list of questions that I can use to prepare? I am on, this is my third round and it's a panel and list the types of individuals that will be on that panel, their specialties, and it will give you some questions for you to prep. So that is how you leverage AI tools to conduct or to help you better optimize your resume.
That was a lot. So what I'm hearing you say, first of all, is one, do not let AI write your resume for it. Use it as a tool
Yes.
to enhance your own writing and make sure
Yes.
your voice comes through.
Yes, ma'am.
So and someone has asked, are both Claude and Chat GPT free?
So with everything, okay, so this is Danella's 2 bits on paying for services. You should never pay for anything to conduct your job search. You can leverage everything in which you have access to. Yes, there are paid subscriptions to ChatGPT and all the other AI bots. However, there's free versions, right? The difference, I know I can speak to ChatGPT. The difference between the paid versions for ChatGPT versus the non-paid versions is they're more up to date. So ChatGPT might only go up to 2022. The paid version will go up until now. So that's the only difference. What there was something else. Paid stuff, right? I'm a firm believer, considering my other backgrounds, right? No matter what you do, there is always a market that will prey on you. So I consider individuals that's seeking employment, especially in these times, a vulnerable population. So somebody's always going to try to sell you something. A resume writer, I will tell you, I've paid somebody to write a resume for me many, many years ago. Will I ever do it again? Absolutely not. You still have to put so much into a resume after you pay somebody to do it that you could have done it yourself. And now with all these tools at your disposal, it's not conducive for your money, especially you're already in a place to where you don't have income coming in as regularly as you did before. So you don't want to spend money where you don't have to. LinkedIn Premium. I am one of those individuals that believe you do not have to pay for that to get that tool to work for you. Using LinkedIn, the more you use it, the more you're helping your algorithm, the more your page is visible. So if you want LinkedIn to work for you without you paying for that subscription, become a thought partner, right? Start reading articles, commenting on articles, comment on other people's posts. When you're commenting on other people's posts, depending on who you talk to, they're going to say you need to have at least 8 words or 15 words. So to bypass both of those, make sure you write 2 or 3 complete sentences and you have helped your algorithm along. You do not have to pay for anything to conduct your job search. Recruiters get paid by the companies that are reaching out to them to source them. If a recruiter tells you, pay me for this and I will land you this job, I'm going to tell you to turn the other way. That is not going to happen. They are fighting the same battle you would fight individually as you do your job search, or if you just meet another recruiter that is not charging you to conduct that search. So no, don't pay for anything.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. One other
And I would
mocha.
say,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was just going to
Archie.
speak to Claude about Claude and back Danella up with that. I strongly agree with that for job searching purposes. With ChatGPT, you can use it for free. It will limit how many responses you get back. It does, you don't get all the bells and whistles, but you may not need that if you're just using it for job search. With Claude, it is paid. And it's, I love it. But I want to actually tell you guys about Galaxy.ai. So if you are looking for, you want to use Perplexity, you want to use all of the different AIs out there, you can go to Galaxy.ai and get a subscription and get all of them for one low price. And a lot of times they'll have a discount where they'll give you 6 months for free. And so it may be something worth looking into if that is something that you want. So then you would get you would get all the bells and whistles, but for an all-in-one type price. That's something, just to consider.
Someone is asking, when using LinkedIn, provide content and insight on your page or simply comment on others to engage? That's the question. So are you saying, do we provide content and insight on our page, or do we just comment on other people's? Or is it
It's a
both?
combination. So if you have a professional background in technical writing or content writing or something, then you need to be writing something professionally or reading those things that speaks to your profession and maybe make a post on your page and write. As far as other people's, just engage in their posts. But when you're engaging in posts, there is a a word count. So, like I said, it's either 8 or 12, but I tell you, write 2 or 3 complete sentences, and you meet all of that criteria for it to boost your algorithm and become more visible on the platform.
Thank you. Moving back to the other platform for questions where people are asking questions. How do you handle all the stresses of being a good woman, a wife, a mother, and a leader, all while trying to find employment and feed everyone and nurture everyone as well? In other words, putting on a brave face and keep encouraging folks.
Okay, I think I can take that one for sure. Um, so let's just start with the premise that perfection is not a thing, that
Mm,
it just does not exist. We're not perfect beings. Now, I think that Black women in particular have a particular superpower that allows us to really dig deep. But let's be honest, doing all things to all people for all people at all times, everywhere, it costs us something. And the body keeps score. And as we get older, we start feeling the impact of that. So you have to make some concessions. First, the first concession is to make it with yourself. Back to having that courageous conversation with yourself and giving yourself permission to tap out, to take a respite, to take a nap. I call naps radical self-care in action and a revolutionary act of self-care. Literally taking a nap or taking a walk or just tapping out completely is helpful. And not only is it helpful to yourself or ourselves, but it's helpful for everybody that we are connected to, because our children, our spouses, our family members, our parents, our colleagues, they're all depending on us. But if we're not taking good care of ourselves, we can't care for them. So it is a process. And part of that process is allowing yourself to be fully human. I know that we are spiritual beings, but we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And what it means to be fully human means that you cannot be at all places at all times and do everything. And so, like, literally allowing yourself to sit with that and be okay with that. And then doing some pretty homeopathic things like journaling. I cannot tell you the number of people, I mean, all of these women on this platform are boss women, right? They're in charge of something. We are leaders. We are in control of things. But there are times when you have to tap out and just express yourself. Because if you don't express what's going on the inside, all the stress, all the trauma, all the injuries, we have two options, unfortunately. Either we explode or we implode, and neither is good. Other people will end up feeling the wrath of your explosion, or you will experience the depression of your implosion. And it won't help you to advance whatever your goal is, which is to be healthy and to have engagements and, be powerful beyond measure, right? To engage with your children and your families. All that is absolutely possible, but it's not possible if you're not taking good care of yourself. So that is the status quo. That is the bottom line. You've got to take good care of yourself first and foremost. Prioritize you, lean into taking care of you, create that balance every single day, and then you can move into what are the other things that you need to do. And again, give yourself permission. This forum is called I'm Not Okay. Give yourself permission to not be okay. That's not forever, but for right now, give yourself those moments of opportunity to tap out and articulate that. Because here's the truth. We socialize people to sometimes allow us to overfunction while they underfunction, right?
mm,
And then we
mhm.
get upset because they expect us to do all things to all times with everyone, when in actuality, we're the ones that made them think that we could do all those things. So
Right.
now here's the task. The task is to re-socialize them, to understand that we do have superpowers, but we are not superhuman. And that requires that we take better care of ourselves so that we can then send the message to all the people who love us that if they want us around, then they've got to be okay with us taking care of ourselves.
Right, that part. All right, rapid fire, real quickly. Here's some questions coming in. What's some advice for those of us who just are not built for entrepreneurship? This Mocha says it's too much for her anxiety, so she's got to do something else. She's got to have a job, which is okay, right? Because we can't all be entrepreneurs. Some quick
Well, I
advice
think
for someone.
well, I was just gonna, oh, can you hear me? Okay. I think one of the things is for you to figure out, well, what kind of job, what kind of career can bring you the most fulfillment? Because when we talk about, even when I talk about the multiple revenue streams, revenue is not just, cash. And I know that's what makes the U.S. run. Runs on greed and and selfishness. But I know you need to eat. I know you need all of those things, but if you're in a job where you're just there for the money, you're going to hate going in there every day. You're going to be sitting in the parking lot, you know, dreading to go in. So why not figure out something that is going to fulfill you in multiple ways? So maybe your multiple streams is going to of revenue is going to be, again, obviously the compensation, but maybe it's, the fulfillment that you get. Maybe it's the feeling that you have when you walk in the door. Maybe it's, you utilizing your talents in a way that brings you the most joy. It doesn't have to be, well, an entrepreneurial realm of things.
I want to be a flight attendant. That's what I'm doing.
Why not?
So,
Well,
That is,
and when you say something like that, like that most off the wall thing could be, it
mhm.
could be something that maybe that you can do. You take the limits off of yourself and you take the limit off God, because God gave you all of those talents, those skills. How do you how do you fit them into the puzzle to give you the biggest boost?
Danella, I think that this question is for you. Is it true that some companies red flag resumes um, that are written by AI and completely reject them right off the top?
Yes, that is very true. And that is why we leverage AI and we don't lean on AI to do everything for us. You don't want to lose your voice when you are writing your resume to submit to these companies.
Okay. So questions, both pre-submitted and coming in now, that are around this issue of support that we will answer before I ask you all if you all have any calls to action. And the question is, what does support look like in this moment? How do we support each other?
what I
Well,
would say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
no, you
Chantay. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say one of the biggest ways we can support each other is through community. You don't have to do it alone. You can, and you'll get, to a certain place with that. But when where two or more are gathered, right? When you have someone who's there cheering you, you can be accountable to them. You can set goals and have them check in with you to make sure that you're staying on task, to push you kind of forward, to give you that tough love that you need when you're sitting over there feeling sorry for yourself. Or when you're just down and out and you just can't see, they can give you a different perspective of, to lift your spirits, to get you looking at things differently and to keep you going, because the goal is movement. Dr. Argie was talking about perfection, and perfection is the enemy of movement. Perfection is the enemy of movement. So many women, and I know a lot of you have advanced degrees. Imposter syndrome it's real, but it's not real. It's only in your brain. When you think that, I have to do this perfectly in order for them to hire me, or I have to do this perfectly to keep my job, or I have to do it this way. It's great to have standards and always try to put your best foot forward. But know that sometimes what you look at as it has to be perfect, they're just looking for movement.
Perfection is the enemy of movement, y'all. Remember that. Okay, who else? What does support look like for us?
I would just add that the community that Chantay is speaking of, we got to be very careful about who we let into our space, right?
Mm.
And at the end of every year, I ask my clients, do a list of who adds to your life and who subtracts from your life. And whose life do you add to and whose life do you subtract from? And if you have an intention that you're trying to move into a new space or a next level, you really want some prayer warriors. You want somebody who wants you to win. You want a small crew that's going to go in intercessory prayer for you. And you want those folks who are going to lift you, right? Those folks who are going to cheer for you. And not everybody is interested in you winning. And sometimes people just got problems of their own or issues of their own. That doesn't mean they're bad people, but we got to kind of sometimes relocate people. And those people that are in our inner circle, those are the ones that we call on for community to actually help usher us into the next level, if we will. And we also have to stop lying to ourselves because sometimes we've kept people in our lives way past their expiration date. And unfortunately, that doesn't mean they're bad. That doesn't mean we're bad. It means maybe we've come to the end of our road together and we need to create holding space or space for them to be in their lane and for us to be in our lane. So
Right.
we got to go to this new level. The times that we are in are very, very crucial. But what I've known from history is that in crisis, there is elevation. There are people that often do extremely well in crisis. It's sometimes when things get too soft and easy that we don't necessarily move to where we need to move. And so we just need that community, but we got to be selective about the community that we choose to be in our space at this particular time.
And bouncing
Well,
off of community, you have to remember you have a professional work network, right? You have individuals that came and went, that you've been connected to. Maybe you have not been nurturing those relationships over the last few years. But guess what? This is a great time to re-engage. It's holiday season, right? You can send a nice little note saying happy holidays to those individuals as that first touch point, and then circle back and do some individual touches and try to schedule some appointments with some of those individuals to learn about what it is they've been doing all this time. If they made a transition into something new, ask them kind of what led them to go down this path and how did they get help, or ask them if they had to start over, because that's one of the things that most people be scared of as they are in this space and they know they don't want to go back to what they were doing. They think they can't enter the workforce in a new career field at a similar salary. That's not necessarily a hard truth, right? If you leverage your network, people will vouch for you because they know what you will bring. Even if you've never done that before, they know what you did in your previous life. So they would be willing to vouch for you so you can enter into a new career and still not have any kind of lack in salary based on that transition. Um, I counsel and talk to people all the time, speaking off of what Dr. Argie said. Sometimes these transitions are on purpose, and they're on purpose because you've always had this intuition or this pull, but you are so comfortable because you are getting that regular paycheck that you don't know how you're going to make it if you just stepped out on courage, stepped out on faith, right? So I tell my candidates all the time, what is for you is for you. No matter what the conditions are, yes, this is not the best time to be looking for jobs, but guess what? As I make my phone calls every day, someone is landing, right? So you have to know, um, you have something in you, And we serve a God that sees us all the time. And what's yours, no matter how qualified that next individual is, if it's yours, it doesn't matter. It's yours. But you do have to get to some no's before you get to some yeses. And that's all in preparation for that thing that you are called for.
Ooh, you have to get to some no's to get to some yeses. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much. So I have one more ask of you all. Um, think of like all the things that we've talked about tonight. And in summary, if there is a call to action, just one call to action you each would issue to the moms on this call. I'm going to give you a moment to think about it because while you all are thinking, I do want to mention and remind Mocha Land that we actually have a Mocha Relief Fund because we recognize that Mochas all over the country are struggling in this moment. So in just a moment, you will once again see a link where you can contribute whatever you can to the Mocha Relief Fund. Also, if you are in a position and you do need some help, we are taking those in as well. So you should check your emails. This information has gone out via email. It will go out again. And I see that LaShawn has just posted the donate or submit links for the Mocha Relief Fund. That is one way that we Mochas are showing up for each other. I keep saying in this moment, right, we need to turn back to our communities, our organizations, those legacy organizations and those new ones who are coming up, because we know how to take care of ourselves and each other in this moment. Because I think it was one of you all said earlier, this is actually not new to us. It is just new to us, perhaps in this generation. But we got this, Mochas, and we got you. So, ladies, our wonderful panelists, we have some call to actions, but what is your one call to action you would issue to the Mochas in this moment?
The time is now. We can feel, we can talk about all the things that's happening around us, but you have to make that first step in order to get closer to where you're trying to go. So mine's is you need to move. You need to move.
Okay, make a move. That's what she's saying, y'all. Make
Faith
a
without
move.
action is dead, right? So if you just
Exactly.
keep sitting and thinking about everything around you and not doing anything to get to where you're trying to go, you're not doing anything for yourself.
Thank you. Chantay.
I will continue on with that movement trend to say, understand your value and act accordingly. And part of the way that you understand your value is self-knowledge, understanding who you are, what you bring to the table, because that leads you to understand what's no longer fitting you and allows you to let go of it. The joy that will come from that is a direct result of you making room for what does fit.
Great. Thank you. And Dr. Argie, and we have just posted a link to buy your book for those who need it. And by
Thank
those who need it, I
you.
mean all of us.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. One call to action. Interesting enough, the book has 52 calls to action. You can literally every single week, you will have a different courageous conversation, and then you will have a different courageous action where I give you the prompts, and then you'll be able to journal it. But if I had to give the one, I think it would be to wake up. Self-actualization. We don't always tell ourselves the truth. Sometimes because we're trying to be kind to others, sometimes because we are afraid of what people might think, sometimes because we're too busy people pleasing. But we do have to wake up and realize that we are powerful beyond measure, and that we have everything we need to walk into our abundance and our purpose-filled life. And as we do that, we actually give other women, other Black women, other Mocha moms permission to do the same. So that would be for us to wake up and to love ourselves, to lean into light, truth and accountability that leads to hope and freedom. And I am truly grateful to be here again. This is the last time I spoke with you all. It was in the pandemic. It was in the middle of the pandemic. So it's good to be back here with you all. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Our calls to action, Mochas, it is really important that you hear us. Mocha Moms is getting on the We Ain't Buying It campaign. That is the campaign. LaShawna's going to drop the link in the chat that asks us to not shop specifically at 3 places between Thanksgiving Day and Cyber Monday. Let's not do Amazon. Let's not do Target, which you shouldn't have been doing to begin with anyway. And let's not do Home Depot. It is a very specific campaign led by the Latasha Brown and other Black women who are calling on us to have this targeted economic action for 4 days, just to show how valuable and needed, how much America needs Black dollars. So we, Black folks, I think, contribute like $1.8 billion in spending power. Let's take it back for just 4 days, and then you can go back to it. But let's do that. It also is our way of flexing some muscle of our own discipline. Now, what you can do, you can spend money on local businesses, Black-owned businesses, Black women-owned businesses. Do that. But for the 4 days, do not shop Amazon, Target, Home Depot. And if you can do more than that, do more than that. The other call to action we have for you all in Mocha Land is go ahead and find on your calendar the date of your February school board meeting. We are going to ask Mochas in February for us to all show up at our local school board meetings in our Mocha shirts, Mocha vote shirts, Mocha's vote shirts if you have them. You don't even have to say anything, but we all have to show up together en masse to make a statement. Because if they can ban books, if a small group of moms can ban books, we can show up all across the country and say, we are here. And we're doing that in the month of February. You'll hear more about it. And the third call to action, check on a Mocha. Pick up the phone, call one of your Mocha sisters, whether it's someone in your local chapter or across the country, and just check on her. See how she's doing. Let her know you love her. In this moment, we need each other now more than ever. I want to thank all of you Mochas who showed up for this call. Y'all showed up and showed out tonight. We appreciate it. I want to thank these beautiful panelists for all of their wonderful advice and encouragement and love. And I want to thank my board sisters for always coming in and being willing to do the thing, jumping in, and always having ideas for how we can be there for you all. Much love to you all, and good night.
Right. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
This was. Thanks.
Thank
I put in
you.
the chat also, if you guys can, if you want to join the Ask Dr. Argie podcast every Monday night at 6:30, please do. I put it in the chat.
We'll send
And I forgot.
you all's information so that folks know how to reach you.
Thank you. I
Awesome.
forgot to mention that I have a free guide for you guys to help you create a career or a lifestyle that aligns with your values, your gifts, and what brings you joy. The first 2 letters of my methodology is in there for free. And if you're interested in getting the entire workbook, that's available as well. And I will be launching a cohort in January of 2026 to actually have a community where we go through and we spend 6 weeks specifically on what it is that you want to do, what you need to let go, so that when you get to someone like Danella, you know exactly what you want, you know exactly who you're marketing, you know exactly what you're marketing, and you'll know exactly where you're headed.
Great. And all of that is going out. Make sure we have that, because I don't know if we have that cohort piece. I know that we have the other thing, but it's all going to go out in a dedicated e-blast after the call.
Yes.
So thank you. Make sure we have it.
Awesome.
And
Thank
some
you
of
you
for
guys
being
will
such
see
an
that when you
amazing
get-
moderator,
Thank
Soror.
you.
Thank you, Sora. Good night.
Stay on,
Good night.
ladies. Stay on, Danella and Chantay and
Okay.
Unfortunately, we cannot.
oh,
Yeah. So we're gonna have to close out. This is not the other platform.
got it.
Yeah. Sorry, Shalon.
All right, that's okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
so much.
ladies.
Have a
Really
good night,
appreciate
everyone.
it.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Great conversation. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.